I see you as you are today, with your fatigue, your hopes, and your scars. Welcome to Sacred Essence Love. I'm Sophia. This channel is a steady room for people walking intimate, intense spiritual relational paths, especially those on the twin flame journey. Here you will find thoughtful reflections that connect body, mind, and soul. You'll find explanations of why longing feels like ache, why reunion can unsettle more than it soothes, and why your nervous system often leads before your thinking does. You will be witnessed, not lectured, translated, not fixed. For the next few minutes, allow that witness to be for you. Sometimes you wake with a weight that has no obvious origin. Sometimes a small silence from someone you love tilts the world and a past memory floods in. Sometimes hope arrives like a spring and leaves you dizzy. Sometimes grief arrives like winter and makes everything gray. In the middle of these textures, know this plainly. I see you as you are today, with your fatigue, your hopes, and your scars. That statement is not a platitude. It is an immediate affirmation that your interior life matters in its own terms, and that honoring what you feel is not optional but essential on a path that magnifies relationship. What does honoring mean here? It is not indulgence. It is not an invitation to dramatize or weaponize pain. It is a simple neurological truth your body signals before your mind can narrate. Breath tightens, gut clenches, chest dips. The hands remember tension. These are early warning communications from a nervous system that has learned to prioritize safety. Emotion is the shorthand your brain uses to classify importance. When feeling is dismissed or demanded to be explained, the system learns to hide its alerts. That learned suppression is expensive. It separates sensation from story, and over time, that separation corrodes intimacy with yourself. Attachment dynamics are a second engine under the surface. From infancy, we internalize templates for how closeness behaves. If care was intermittent, your system created an economy of readiness for absence. If connection punished vulnerability, your system learned to armor. Those templates are not moral failures, they are survival designs. When a present relationship echoes a pattern that originally protected you, the present reaction can feel disproportionate. That disproportion is not false, it is an echo. Understanding the echo does not excuse harm, nor does it minimize feeling. Instead, it clarifies the origin of intensity and helps you recognize which part of the response belongs to a historical map and which part speaks to the present reality. There is also a spiritual dimension to how emotions land on this particular path. When a bond is framed as soul level, ordinary ruptures carry symbolic weight. Separation can feel like exile. Reunion can feel like homecoming. That amplifying lens deepens meaning and increases vulnerability. Longing becomes luminous and terrifying at the same time. But the spiritual framing can also produce two mistakes. One, romanticizing suffering as proof of depth. 2. Spiritualizing endurance so that harm is normalized in the name of growth. Both are distortions. The sacred does not require martyrdom. The soul's work often passes through discomfort, yes, but spiritual maturity includes the capacity to refuse being harmed as a measure of love. We should name shame because it's an uninvited guest in these rooms. Shame takes ordinary hurt and converts it into a moral verdict. You are at fault because you are affected. It whispers that feeling is an evidence of defect. That whisper is damaging because it moves you from experience into identity. Feeling becomes not a temporary state, but a label that then narrows the world. I am the one who is too much, or I am the one who breaks things. Distinguishing shame from accountability matters. You can hold responsibility for your choices and still refuse the idea that being wounded renders you less deserving of care. Projection is another frequent actor. Old, unresolved parts of ourselves are easily reflected in intimate others, and the mind sometimes misattributes the source. A look from your partner can be heard not just as that look, but as the chorus of earlier abandonments. Recognizing projection is not absolution for another's harm, nor is it a way to erase your hurt. It is rather a diagnostic tool. It helps you sort what is mostly coming from the past and what is truly happening now. That sorting gives you better orientation. It reduces the tyranny of reactivity and helps you see the relationship's actual contours. Grief lives here in many guises. Grief for the imagined future that did not materialize. Grief for a version of yourself that must be left behind. Grief for doors that closed quietly. Grief is a reconfiguration process. It dismantles old expectations and asks you to reweave identity with different threads. Spiritually, grief can be initiation, an opening that creates new capacities for tenderness and discernment. But initiation is not painless. It is messy, confusing, and sometimes disorienting. Accepting grief's role does not mean romanticizing suffering. It means recognizing that the dismantling can be a doorway to deeper integrity if you do not conflate pain with virtue. There are corrosive myths it's important to dispute. Feeling intensely is not equivalent to being sick. Intensity is often proportional to how deeply someone has imprinted on your relational map. Likewise, being vulnerable does not equal being weak. Sometimes the softest people carry the strictest gravity of feeling. Another myth that healing must look like a tidy arc with a clean resolution. Human processes rarely give tidy arcs. They meander, fold back, and sometimes plateau. Expecting a linear fix is a social demand, not a therapeutic one. There is also a spiritual distortion to watch. The tendency to equate readiness to feel with spiritual superiority. Displaying emotion as proof of awakening is performative and unhelpful. Real spiritual maturity is quieter. It shows up as steadier attention, as the capacity to bear paradox without collapsing into blame. Depth is not signaled by volume. It is signaled by coherence and an increasing ability to hold complexity without losing touch with everyday ethics. Importantly, honoring feelings is not a retreat from responsibility. Witnessing your interior life does not absolve you from how you behave in the world. Feeling grief does not grant permission to harm. The energy of emotion needs translation into ethical action. But before translation, there must be reception. Without reception, translation is faulty. You cannot translate what you refuse to see. On the twin flame path, longing often creates a pressure to find meaning quickly, to interpret every coincidence as a directive, to make a scaffolding of destiny from the present day weather. That pressure can rush you into narratives that make you feel either exceptional or condemned. Both extremes are poor guides. A steadier posture is curiosity without hurry, noticing what moves you, acknowledging where history beats in the present, allowing meaning to arrive slowly. Again, this is not a practice list, it is a posture. It is the simple discipline of taking your interior life seriously. There are relational implications that follow naturally from this posture. When you give your feelings witness to yourself first, and only then in conversation when safe and reciprocal, you change the ecology of interaction. You stop performing for reassurance and start representing your truth. This shift can feel lonely at first because others may be accustomed to the edited version of you. But that loneliness is not the same as failure. It is often the grammar of honest change. If you are tempted to judge yourself for the depth of your feeling, remember, depth does not equal defect. It means something met you that matters. That encounter has reorganized parts of you. That reorganization requires attention. Be wary of any voice, internal or external, that rushes you to tidy or to perform. Those voices are often anxious or ill-equipped to sit in uncertainty. Your interior life deserves a different treatment, simple witness, patient translation, and the occasional gentle refusal of the performative script. As we close, rest with this. The path of intimacy and soul contact intensifies what it asks you to feel. That intensification is not evidence you are failing. It is evidence that complexity has entered your life. Let these words be practical permission. Say to yourself quietly if you need to, I am seen as I am, weary, hopeful, wounded. Hold that recognition. Let it be a small harbor. From that harbor, clarity can grow, not as immediate fix, but as a slow, stabilizing presence. If this landed for you, save or share to remind someone else that their feelings deserve simple witness. Follow Sacred Essence Love for more reflections that translate the mechanics of the heart and the soul. Thank you for letting me sit with you. Go gently with your heart.